Yeah. Run it up, Blondo. Run it up, Blondo.
It's reasonable to say that expectations for the Orlando Magic are extremely low for this upcoming season in terms of making the playoffs and going far. Arguably, our two most important players, being Jonathan Isaac and Markelle Fultz, are coming off major knee surgeries and will need time to get back into things and become the players that they were before their injuries. To add to that, we'll likely be playing a bunch of first and second year players in our rotation, with the rookie head coach leading them. So we're most likely going to finish within the bottom half of the Eastern Conference. However, there's still a lot to look forward to next season for Magic fans, such as seeing the growth of Jalen Suggs and Franz Wagner from Game 1 to Game 82, the return of J.I. and Fultz, the improvements of Chuma, Cole, and RJ in their sophomore seasons, Jamal Mosley's style of play and the schemes that he's going to run, and arguably the biggest battle within the Magic, Wendell Carter Jr. versus Mo Bamba. There's only room for one young center on a long-term contract in today's NBA, and this upcoming season will decide whether it's going to be Mo or WCJ. They both are set to become restricted free agents next summer and could demand anywhere between 10 to 15 million per year, forcing the Magic to choose only one going forward. From the outside looking in, Wendell appears to have the upper hand heading into next season. From both raw and advanced stats and the eye test, he just appears to be the better and more polished player. However, his upside is still not as high as Mo Bamba's. Wendell didn't even outplay Mo by much last season, so the door isn't shut yet in the Mo Bamba experiment in Orlando. Therefore, in this video, I'll dive deeper into their games by analyzing their strengths and weaknesses in order to find out who could be better for us next season and earn the majority of the minutes from Jamal Mosley. Remember, both of them are receiving clean slates from Mosley. They both have started their careers off with arguably the worst coaches for young players. Jamal Mosley will hopefully put them in the best possible positions to succeed, and that in turn will help Waltman and Hammond analyze who will be the better center to retain going forward. So without further ado, let's get right into the topic of the video. Alright, it's important to start off by saying that big men generally take longer to develop. Some might even take 5 years until they start showing their potential. To name a few for reference, Ben Wallace, Tyson Chandler, Andrew Bynum, Andre Drummond before he lost his athleticism and became a punchline. Who else? In recent memory, Marc Gasol and even Vucevic took a little while to become an impactful center in the NBA. So there's still some time left for Wendell and Mo to reach their potential. With Wendell coming into the league, he was touted as a versatile big who could be an anchor on defense while also being some sort of a hub on offense. For example, making plays from the top of the key or the high post with his passing vision, similar to Al Horford with the Celtics under Brad Stevens' system. Now those projections haven't panned out at all for him due to a myriad of reasons that are all similar to Mo's for not living up to expectations. Reasons primarily being injuries, bad coaching or player development, confidence issues, and that motor label that often gets attached to bigs. It's important to talk about the player development and coaching aspects of their problems. Wendell and Mo, like I said earlier, had the worst possible situations to start their career. Mo was expected to become somewhat like Rudy Gobert, but with the ability to pick and pop on offense, but he's fallen way short of those projections. To say that he's had a rocky start to his career would be an understatement. He's dealt with injuries and setbacks throughout his tenure here, from various lower body injuries to contracting COVID right when he put on some mass and was ready to prove his worth back in the bubble. Mo hasn't had a full summer until now to work on his game due to those setbacks I mentioned earlier. He seems to be more locked in with Jamal Mosley and his staff, so we should expect major improvements from the now 23-year-old veteran. And let's face it, Mo was drafted by the wrong team. He was never going to overtake an emerging all-star center in Vucevic. To make it worse, he was put in a position to fail with a coach who had no desire in developing him. I respect Steve Clifford a lot, but he isn't the type of coach who is willing to stay patient and let a young prospect play through his mistakes and learn from them without it affecting his whole team. To make it even worse for Mo, Clifford even brought in a veteran big man in Khem Birch to take his spot, which took him further down the big man pecking order of the Magic. Similar to Mo Bamba, Wendell Carter Jr. was managed by an old school coach who didn't play him to his strengths. Jim Boylan, now an ex-Bulls coach, is not remembered too fondly by Bulls fans, and for good reason. He had no clue on how to develop young players and put them in the best possible positions to succeed. He was a good defensive coach, I'll give him that. However, he failed to utilize Wendell's strengths and influenced him to do things that an old school big would do, not a modern one. According to Ricky O'Donnell and Jason Pratt from the Cash Considerations podcast, a popular and insightful Bulls podcast, Jim Boylen urged Wendell to avoid shooting three-pointers, and it unfortunately worked as he shot less than 1 3-point attempts per game during his first 3 seasons in Chicago. What should have happened in Wendell's development is that he should have been encouraged to shoot more threes, which would have allowed him to become confident enough to shoot threes at a higher rate by now heading into his 4th season. But unfortunately, here we are. What we know at this moment is that he's in the same position as he was as a rookie, where he still needs to prove that he can be a reliable pick and pop threat. An encouraging sign is that he shot them more as a Magic, so hopefully he'll continue to add on to his 3-point attempts next season. So terrible coaching is a legit excuse for Wendell's failures. Remember, Wendell also played for 3 different coaches in his 3 seasons in Chicago. Fred Hoiberg, Jim Boylen, and Billy Donovan all had 3 different ideas on how to use Carter Jr., which in turn stunted his growth. And now you can add Steve Clifford and Jamal Mosley to his list. Hopefully, stability is on the horizon for Wendell now, since he's gonna need it. And like Mo, Wendell has had to deal with multiple injuries that have hampered his development so far. Looking at his career injuries list, you can see that most of them have been just random injuries. Nothing serious like a fully torn ACL, but setbacks such as thumb injuries, abdomen, head injuries, a weird eye injury he had last season. He's just been dealt with an unfortunate hand with injuries early on in his career. He'll need to prove that he can play at least 70 games next season, or it'll just be a huge gamble giving him a large contract extension. It's worrying that Wendell has yet to play more than 54 games in the season so far. So playing 70 games is a requirement for him. Not 54, not 61, not 68, 70 minimum. There are 2 differences in what you can say in their excuses for not reaching their potential is that Wendell has had serious confidence issues on the court, while Mo just has a poor feel for the game and often gets lost on the floor. Mo really isn't gun shy, and Wendell, he has a good feel for the game. But Wendell also gets too passive at times when things aren't going his way. He needs to learn to not get too high or too low and try to stay even-keeled during games. One of Coach Mosley's main tasks next season would be to instill confidence in Wendell. If Wendell can play confidently throughout this upcoming season, then that would be one big hurdle that he'll overcome towards reaching his potential. Now Mo Bamba, on the other hand, his biggest problem is that he's still years behind in terms of his feel for the game and overall basketball IQ. Mo hasn't fully grasped the NBA game yet. He still doesn't know how to defend pick and rolls properly. He often misses rotations. He can't predict whenever someone is going to cut or roll to the basket. His awareness of the game is just not up to par with other bigs in his class, such as DeAndre Ayton, Jaren Jackson Jr., and even Wendell. And what's alarming is that his feel for the game hasn't improved much since his rookie season, which is why I feel that he's still a long ways away from even being a rotational player on a good team. Mo Bamba is extremely intelligent and a well-rounded person off the court, but on the court, he's still prone to make boneheaded mistakes. And Bamba still being so far away in his development is a reason why I'm leaning towards picking Wendell Carter Jr. to outplay Mo Bamba next season and earn an extension with us and the trusts of Weltman, Hammond, and Jamal Mosley. I'll further break down my reasoning why the Magic will choose Wendell over Mo Bamba. Now, both of them bring their own unique sets of strengths and weaknesses. For example, Mo Bamba is more athletic than Wendell and has better measurements. In addition, so far Mo has proven to be a better perimeter shooter, and that's an important skill to have as a big going forward. Since the trade deadline, Mo shot 35% on decent volume at 3.5 attempts per game, while Wendell only shot 24%. Shot blocking is another area where Mo seems to have the upper hand, as he posted an impressive block percentage of 71% to Wendell's measly 34% during that same time after the trade deadline. Now, Wendell has never posted a good enough block percentage, but to be fair to him, he's never had the opportunity to learn how to shot block or be in a position to block enough shots. Under Jim Boylen, the Bulls usually blitz the ball handlers, so Wendell never got the opportunity to stay in the paint and block a lot of shots. He's way more comfortable in a drop scheme defense, instead of him having to be out on the perimeter trying to get steals. And does being a better shot blocker really make Mo a better rim protector than Wendell? Not necessarily. Sure, Bamba will probably average 2 blocks per game and is gonna look impressive, but he's also prone to fall for pump fakes and give up a lot of easy baskets. Rim protection is more than just swatting away shots. In the paint, true rim protectors lower the shooting percentages of opposing players around the rim with timely shot contests. Wendell falls into the category of above average rim protectors, and the stats back up my claim, as opponents shot 11% worse when he's guarding the paint, by far the best on our current roster. For reference, he has a better defensive field goal percentage than Clint Capella, Christian Wood, Jared Allen, DeAndre Ayton, and Serge Ibaka, to name a few. And he wasn't far away last season from the likes of Rudy Gobert, Miles Turner, Jakob Poeltl, and Anthony Davis when he was healthy. And to paint him in an even more positive light, with the Orlando Magic, opponents shot even worse, 16.3% worse against him. For reference, Mo Bamba did okay, as opponents shot 3% worse against him. Now, of course, defensive field goal percentage isn't everything, I know, but the eye test proves Wendell's defensive awareness as well. He's a good team defender, he rotates well, doesn't get caught ball watching, and cuts off driving lanes and passing lanes well with his length and strength. He averaged 1.3 deflections per game with the Magic, which was decent. So it's safe to say that Wendell is more defensively sound and has shown the ability to rotate out and prevent the opposition from even attempting a play towards the basket. Diving deeper in their advanced defensive metrics, Mo Bamba had the slightly better defensive win shares and defensive box score plus minus numbers, but his overall defensive rating was 7 points higher than Wendell's during their time as teammates last season. So as of right now, Mo is a better perimeter defender, but Wendell has the edge in guarding pick and rolls and also being the better help defender and overall rim protector. It's important to note that whenever Wendell's confidence was down, it affected his defending as well. And that happens far too often, even after being in the league for 3 years now. So yeah, that's why he still isn't clear over Mo Bamba yet. I just wanted to point that out. If any of y'all are wondering if I'm praising Wendell too much, there's a reason why the Wendell versus Mo Bamba debate hasn't been resolved yet. Continuing on, some of you might point out Mo Bamba's per 36 stats as an argument over Wendell, which of course are godly and have been since his college days. But unfortunately, those are simply fantasy stats for Mo, since his body hasn't proven to be able to handle 30 plus minutes a night yet. Check this out, Mo Bamba in 155 career games has only played 30 plus minutes a whopping 2 times, and he's only played over 20 minutes just 24 times. Even after Wendell got hurt in mid-April and Vooch and Khem Birch left, he still couldn't play major minutes. So simply throw out any per 36 stats when it comes to Mo, since it's pure fantasy like I said, until he proves that he's durable enough to play regular minutes without getting winded or in foul trouble, which will be hopefully next season. Another important deciding factor will be perimeter shooting. If Mo Bamba can further expand on his ability to knock down open threes at a respectable clip, then that could put him ahead of Wendell Carter Jr. because Wendell is still a below average 3-point shooter as of now. During this upcoming season, Wendell Carter Jr. will have to put on his big boy pants and he's just gonna have to put up a lot of threes even if he's having an off night, because I really believe that there's a good knockdown shooter in him. If he still only attempts 1 or less 3-pointers a game, then I'm sorry, that's just not good enough for the type of center that the Magic need. A 5-man that can stretch the floor is a requirement for a team filled with young guards that need space in order to operate. Now, Wendell does have the ability to shoot as well as Mo Bamba. His form is decent for a big and he shoots above 70% from the line. It should give us hope that it's going to translate out on the perimeter eventually. Both of their field goal percentages were nearly identical after the trade deadline. However, Wendell shot just 7 for 26 during his final 4 games after an eye injury. He looked visibly off and even stated that it affected his depth perception, so I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and not count those games against him. So he really shot 53% as a Magic player instead of 49%. Additionally, Wendell shot 58% during his first month or so with the Magic before his ankle injury that occurred in mid-April. And of course now you're seeing a theme of injuries with Wendell that Bulls fans warned me about. Like whenever Wendell starts showing signs of reaching his potential, a random injury occurs which halts his development and confidence. So yeah, Mo Bamba has the edge right now in shooting, but Wendell has shown the ability to surpass him if he stays healthy. In terms of overall scoring though, Wendell has the upper hand as he has more post moves in his arsenal. He has better footwork and can catch the ball better after rolling. Wendell and Mo both have soft touches around the basket. Wendell shot nearly 70% and Mo 64% in the restricted area. When it comes to mid-range shooting though, from pick and pops, they'll need to improve significantly as they only shot in the mid-20s from that area. Moving on, one of the most underrated skills in basketball, especially pertaining to big men, is setting screens, and Wendell excels in that department. Last season, Wendell was amongst the top 5 in screen assists per game, ahead of the likes of Joel Embiid, Anthony Davis, Nikola Jokic, and Steven Adams. Wendell sets tough screens. Mo has the ability to do that as well, but he often sets screens that are either too soft or rushed. Wendell's ability to set good screens will allow him to run effective dribble handoffs with our young guards. DHOs will create space for Wendell to roll or for our guards to attack the basket and make plays. Continuing on, being a reliable passing option from the post will be another determining factor between the two. Wendell so far does seem to have the advantage over Mo when it comes to passing. Arguably, Wendell's biggest draw as a draft prospect was his passing ability. Unfortunately, so far, it hasn't reflected on the stat sheet in the NBA. He's only shown glimpses of it as a result of his confidence issues as well as not being encouraged to play make from previous coaches. It makes you wonder what Wendell could do with more plays being ran through him. His passes per game increased from 28 per game from his disappointing second season to 35 per game last season, and his usage percentage jumped nearly 5 percentage points as well. Carter Jr. showed flashes last season with us of making plays from pick and rolls or from simple post touches. He can make quick reads and find any open shooters in the corner or cutters towards the basket. He can spot open teammates on the block, and he doesn't rush out attempts like other young bigs do after grabbing an offensive rebound. Rather, he'll be patient in finding the correct play, whether it's a pass to an open teammate or back to the point guard to set up another play. The frustrating angle to all of this is that Wendell's assist percentage has been below average and doesn't reflect his passing abilities. His assist percentage of 10.2 was just 2 percentage points better than Mo's. And yeah, Mo Bamba has shown slight improvements in his passing, but it's still not one of his strengths yet. Wendell truly has the ability to be an Al Horford or Bam Adebayo type initiator of the offense from the post. But again, it all boils down to his confidence in taking risks and living with the outcome of a turnover as long as he's being aggressive. You can only learn from your mistakes in the NBA, and Wendell really needs to grasp this concept. I'm going to keep harping on it. Confidence is the biggest barrier that's preventing Wendell from reaching his potential, which I truly believe is an all-star type center. Alright, the final deciding factor will be who of the two is going to be the best fit with the current crop of young players. I feel that Wendell's ability to set good screens will free up space for our young guards to roam around and create plays, and also his finishing ability around the rim makes him a good rolling option and lob option. Mo Bamba could bring better floor spacing, but Wendell is not far off in that category. I also feel that Wendell has a better chance to be the perfect front court partner for Jonathan Isaac, since Wendell's passing skills from the high post could blend in well with Isaac's cutting skills, and ditto with Franz Wagner's elite cutting skills that he displayed in college. And I think J.I. will be better off with the front court partner who's more physical and someone bigger to help him out with rebounds and boxing out, and Wendell surely fits that frame. In conclusion, Wendell Carter Jr. and Mo Bamba are going to have to show drastic improvements in their games, as well as eliminate all durability concerns in order to earn a large contract extension from the Magic. Personally, I believe Jeff Weltman, John Hammond, and Jamal Mosley are higher on Wendell than Mo, because Wendell is more of a sure thing right now, with the ability to show more. To summarize, Wendell has a much better feel for the game, is a better rebounder, positional defender, post scorer, screener, short roller, and finisher around the basket. He's also a much better passer, which is his biggest allure so far as a prospect. Mo Bamba is the one with the greater untapped potential with his physical tools that makes him the better shot blocker and dunker at the moment. He's also a better shooter than Wendell from the perimeter, but not by a large margin. And I'm going to be honest right now, my heart is saying Mo Bamba all the way. I personally want Mo to secure the bag while also earning the starting center spot for the Orlando Magic. However, my head is saying it's going to be Wendell, and it's his starting spot to lose. I have more of an attachment with Mo Bamba. He was our lotto pick and I've stuck with him for 3 years, but I know right now that I've been let down before with young prospects with unlimited potential too many times for me to fall for it again. So therefore, I'm predicting that Wendell is the one that Orlando will extend next summer, as he's better right now and yet still a year younger than Mo Bamba. He also has a higher floor. At worst, Wendell is going to be a solid big who may not blow you away with his athleticism and stats, but he won't negatively impact your team on the floor. Every contending team has, that player that's solid and dependable. If he's not going to be a superstar or all-star, that's fine. We're going to have chances to draft one and trade for one eventually. Although I love nothing more than Mo Bamba to come out of the gates and ball out right away and prove everyone wrong and prove me wrong as well. But the chances of that happening is just looking too slim right now. Alright, that's the end of the video. What do you guys think? Was I being too generous when it came to breaking down Wendell Carter Jr.'s game? Is he the current favorite over Mo Bamba? If not, then please tell me why. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, as you'll be supporting the creation of more free content based on your favorite team, the Orlando Magic. And you'll also stay up to date on the latest in-depth player analysis videos just like this one.